that's how I feel even with myself. You know, I feel like people are either gonna hate me or like me. They're gonna judge me by whatever they see or hear or whatever they think. Because I mean, let's just face it, you know, that's how we all can be as humans, you know. Hey, what's going on? I am Andrew David Nyman. I'm also known as mousies. I am the owner and founder of MOU5 CHEE5E Records here locally in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born in Los Angeles, California, and I actually graduated from Cibola High School here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And then on my 17th birthday, I ended up getting on a plane and well, I went to Great Lakes, Illinois for basic training, and I did that total for 8 years. Well, when I was a kid, I can just tell you, heck, when I was a baby, I would just remember being in my diaper and just jamming to anything that my dad or any of my family members were listening to, like music. I would just start moving. I was always just dancing, you know, constantly. I couldn't sit still. And I just fell in love with music, all genres. I mean, my dad listened to the Beach Boys, to the Temptations, I mean, you name it. And all my family, I believe, loves music because my dad would even just tell me the same thing. You know, music has been what he had a passion for. Though my dad is a lot more close-minded than myself. And I think that's just why I like being more universally friendly when it comes to making music. So yeah, I've been into music ever since that I think I was conceived, to be honest. So mousies, I was a kid and I was really little, right? Everybody would always kind of either just say, hey, you little guy, or whatever. And then I remember when I was about 5th grade, I started picking up this nickname. People started calling me Mouse, and I hadn't really hit puberty yet, but I just remember everybody else was growing around me and everybody was like, hey, Mouse. And it started out as just calling me Mouse. And then this side of me, when I became a teenager, I kind of had this emo side, right? So one of my first project before Mousies was Mouse Emo. And basically at that time I was producing psytrance and trance, and I had been ghost producing those two specific genres pretty much right from the start of my production career. And yeah, looking back at it, what I basically did was Mousies was my combination of combining mouse with Z's. Now Z's is, well, he was an Australian bodybuilder. I actually knew him. I had met him on bodybuilding.com, and back then it was like the internet's completely different than how it is now. You know, there really wasn't like Facebook and stuff, or it was, but it wasn't like how it is today. And I met this guy, and me and him became friends, and he was just this popping off, in my opinion, he was what started the revolution that we're going through as far as within the fitness industry. You know, he was somebody that was, you know, people admired. They either hated him or they liked him. But what I did was I took Mouse Emo, I ended that project, and I remember I went to Ultra with one of my exes, and well, actually it was my ex-wife, and I went to Ultra Music Festival in Miami, and I came up with this idea of combining Mouse and Z's together. And I didn't actually release Mousies out into the world until 2 months after I divorced my ex-wife. So I divorced her May 31st of 2019, which was honestly one of the saddest days of my life. I mean, she was my best friend. She meant everything to me. And unfortunately, I divorced her because of drugs is what broke our marriage apart. And it's sad to say it, but if I wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking about Mousies or any of that. So I released my first track as Mousies on July 31st of 2019. And at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing when it was coming to releasing music, especially in the industry that I had started in as Mousies. It was just different. I didn't really understand how to promote in the streaming. I mean, I was always creating and ghost producing tracks for many people around the world, and which I still do. I mean, I sell a lot of my tracks on different platforms online. And yeah, but long story short, that's my journey. I mean, I'm mousies now. I mean, I have that sucker tatted under here, which you could probably see in some of my like pictures and stuff. But yeah, when it comes to love, that's like my #1 most favorite thing. I love the word love. I mean, those 4 letters, there's nothing better. And I'm definitely a big lover. I think maybe sometimes people might get that construed too with what they might view and see or hear in my music and such, but love is so important to me. Without it, I wouldn't be able to continue being the person that I am today. And so the visuals and everything combined, it kind of reminds me of like how my brain, how my mind is, how I think. It's always just going, it's always firing like at full speed, and it's honestly hard to shut it off. I have almost had a hard time of ever being able to shut it off. That might be because, well, I have ADHD. I've had that since I was a kid, and in fact, I feel it's a blessing, because I feel like if I take that energy that I have within inside and I combine it into my music and myself as an artist, let's just say, or as a person, you know, I mean, that's enough energy that can light up the whole world, right? Honestly, like, I just want people to realize, you know, if we're pushing for, let's say, equality in this world, well then, hey, I'm all for equality. I just want to make sure it's equal on my behalf as well. So, but that being said, the positivity that I have, I try to think about anytime I release a track, who's potentially going to hear my music? And you never know. I mean, I could create something and release it for the world to hear, and say it comes out today. Even if it only changes one person for the good, for something positive, even if it means they were having a bad day maybe, and they heard Mousies track, you know, that I either created myself or I collaborated and created with other artists that I work with, which I work with so many artists around the world, and I'm so thankful. So thank you. But it means a lot to me to create something and to know that, you know, I can be making somebody's day better in whatever way. Maybe they're going through a breakup, maybe they're going through a hard time, maybe they need some motivation to get them to the gym and to get them to work out, like, you know, hardcore, you know, and there's nothing better than to be able to create that for the world. I mean, it feels amazing, and I'm truly blessed for that. Well, I love electronic dance music. And see, EDM, I used to hate that word. Like, I'm being honest with you. I hated people that would say, EDM, do you listen to EDM? I was like, these posers, they don't even know what they're talking about. And I think it's just because you know, sometimes I think we hate change. And when I started producing music, when it comes to electronic music, I always called it electronic dance music, or just electronic music. But I love the word EDM now, and it's growing on me. So when I think about why I chose EDM to create music, or to create music that falls within the EDM category, it's just because, to me, EDM is so universally friendly. I mean, you can have rappers, country stars, rockers, you name it, you know, everybody. It's just, electronic music to me is the most universal music that there really is. And that's why, I mean, you know, you could say that the majority of my music is EDM, but I feel like even the tracks that I have out now, you know, some of them might not necessarily qualify as EDM. They might just be like hip hop or whatever. And then there's gonna always be people that are gonna say, hey, well, this is what this is, or this is what that is. But in general, electronic dance music is my favorite, just because of how universally friendly it is. Biggest misconception. Well, for one, I think because of my attitude, even at times, I think people, first of all, they think I come off as being gay, which I'm not. And I don't have anything against that, but I don't have an ounce of gay or bi in me, period. But I think sometimes because of my attitude, you know, my personality, and even sometimes, you know, whenever I put on makeup or whatever, you know, which is to me just like whenever a girl puts on makeup, that doesn't mean she's gay or bi or anything. But yeah, I think the biggest misconception a lot of people get is that I'm that way, which I'm not. And maybe that's kind of it's kind of, when I think about it, I'm like, man, I wonder how many girls I've actually lost because of, of maybe them thinking that I'm that. But either way, I'm gonna continue being myself, and yeah, I'm gonna do that till the day I die. Whenever I first sit down to like put a track, right, just something from scratch, like it's a blank canvas, and to me that's super exciting, because I'm like, what am I gonna build today? What am I gonna create in my day? And once I lay down like a track idea, whether what I know I'm gonna go with, a trap house, a trap track, or a big room house, or a dubstep, or a trance, you know, whatever it is, like once I figure that out, the most exciting part is like laying it out and seeing where it's gonna go, because I don't know how my mind works, honestly. I hear everything in here. I have all these little sounds, like my mind can just, it thinks all these things, right? And then I'm able to go into this program, like say Ableton or Fruity, I was gonna say Fruity Loops, because I've been on Fruity Loops, or FL Studio is what they call it now, since I first started. I started with Fruity Loops. And all I know is once I lay out a track and I see where it's going, and I'm like, everything that's in my mind is now here in front of me on this screen, in this computer, and now I'm able to hear these sounds, and then I'm able to tweak them to what's going on in here. But if I had to pick what's honestly the favorite, is just having the track where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna master this track, and hearing it and just knowing that it's like done. There's nothing better than that. Like, the track is done, it's mastered, I feel it's done, I say it's done, and when I say it's done, well, if I'm the master behind the track, well, there's nothing better than saying the track is done and just being able to rock out to it, you know what I mean? Like, just rock out to it. So, my fitness journey, well, I just know my dad was really serious into working out whenever I was a baby. And I just remember being with him in my little diaper. Like I said earlier, you know, I was dancing in my little diaper, and he'd be working out. And I remember he would do these little like weight twist things. And he got me this roll of duct tape, right? Because it was silver. And I would do these same little twists, because I remember I was thinking I was doing the same thing that he was. But I just remember admiring him because he worked out so hard. And at that time, my mind was just so innocent, and I didn't realize, you know, really what my dad was working out and why he was working out and why he was so into it at that time. You know, my dad dealt with a lot of like addictions, you know, from alcohol to opiate use, you know, just to whatever. And, you know, my dad's more on that addict side. I mean, that's, I don't really talk about it much, but yeah, I actually am a caregiver for my dad. I've been taking care of my dad for the last 9 years. He had ended up in a nursing home here in Albuquerque. He ended up at the Rehabilitation Center of Albuquerque about 10, 11, almost 12 years ago now. And he was in that nursing home / rehabilitation center for about 3 years, until I was able to adjust my life to bring him home. And I was actually married to my ex-wife at the time, and well, it was her idea. She was like, babe, let's bring him home. You know, you can take care of him, work from home, blah, blah, blah. And well, I've been doing it now for the last 9 years, and I'm so thankful that I have my dad at home. I love him there. He's like a best friend. He's honestly like a roommate, and I wouldn't ask for anything more. But when it comes to my fitness, my dad is who inspired me for that. And, you know, whenever he stepped out of the industry, when he started going back into his alcohol and drugs, that's when I really started to get into fitness myself, because I was a teenager. You know, my dad's now not doing the fitness thing. Here I am, I'm a teenager, I'm, you know, hitting puberty, I'm working out with weights. You know, my dad even told me I couldn't work out with weights until I at least hit 13. So at 13, I was in the gym working out wherever I could, at school, I was at home. I was just always trying to be like fit and active, you know, from skateboarding to snowboarding to surfing. I mean, I do all those things, and I still try to do them even today. I don't know, my fitness journey is just something that if I wasn't doing this, I honestly, I don't know how I'd have the energy to continue to make even music, because I feel like in life you have to have a balance. You have to have a balance of from the diet you eat, the things we consume, to the things that we do throughout our day. And I believe fitness is seriously like one of the most important things in my life, and it needs to be something that I do and think about on a constant daily basis. And I believe that if more people were able to get into like that mentality, that like lifestyle of being fit and like saying I want it and being hungry and realizing it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. But if you want it bad enough, well, you can have it. So all I can say is I'm gonna keep doing my fitness journey as long as I can, or else I'm not gonna be who I am, you know. If I could just say one thing, you know, for anybody that watches this around the world, you know, I really appreciate whoever listens to my music. I do. I appreciate whoever listens to my music, who takes the time to, you know, maybe even watch this, whatever you call it, documentary thing, Mousies land. I just want to say I appreciate all the listeners and viewers that watch my stuff, or my creation, should I say. I really do. I appreciate that. It means the world to me to be able to reach out to everyone. I mean, everything that I've created, every track so far that I've created, there's not been one country that not one of my tracks so far has been played in. And to me, that's amazing. But just to answer that question in a nutshell, for everyone out there, I just recommend just be yourselves, be free, be happy. And seriously, when I say be free, I mean be free. I want freedom in this world, you know? Legalize freedom. There. That's about all I could say.
Hey, how's it going? Feeling great. Me? Oh, I'm fine.